Well, hello everybody and welcome back to another, Wargame gameplay video, hopefully at least. If you're gonna see that, there will most likely be, holy shit, holy fucking shit, there will most likely be, I'm not gonna re-record this, I'm just gonna keep going. If you will see this video, there will most likely going to be a gameplay video at the end, but what we're gonna do is, we're gonna search a ranked game together. Why? Well, every now and then, or relatively often, I get asked, "Hey Razzmann, why don't you play more ranked games?" And maybe, or hopefully, this will showcase why. Because there are two major issues. There are probably a few more smaller ones, but two bigger issues as to why that is the case. And I'll hopefully be able to show those to you, or at least one of them, depending on what it'll be. For reference, it's Saturday, and it's like what time is it? It's like 6:40 p.m., which should be around right about roughly prime time, I'd say. Definitely among the best times to play Wargame when it comes to player numbers. And yeah, but while we're searching, I'll quickly show you the deck that I'm gonna play. And if the search takes long, I will obviously just cut it out. But yeah, part of why I'm doing this is to showcase that it can take very, very long to find a ranked game at times. But let's go over the deck. Hopefully I did choose the right deck. Hang on, okay. Let's just, to make sure, requeue. Yeah, Eastern Bloc Mech. That's the deck that I want to play. This is the deck. I played this versus Balance as well in that one video, in case you saw that. Nothing too outstanding. Two cards of Vydra 2, one with Panzerovnici, one with Motostareki. Just Vydra 2 is pretty good. You suffer a big availability hit, or compared to, let's say, the KAFV 25, for no real reason other than Eugen. In Mech, this is not a huge issue since you get so many unit slots. I'm also using the Fagot, simply because 15-point ATGMs with 16 AP, they're gonna be annoying as fuck. At Veteran, they're actually gonna hit as well, and they're gonna make it very, very annoying for the opponent. And then, of course, Conquer Sam if I want actually hard-hitting ATGM squads. FJB and MI24D are kind of mandatory, so you have something fast, and they're just a nice, even if FJB themselves aren't really amazing, it's a nice, niche, flexible unit to have. And the Elite MI24D is not to be underestimated, of course. Tank type also fairly straightforward. Two cards of medium tanks, M1M and the M1 Wilk. M1M just, for the more open maps. Sometimes the Sphere can be very useful. Generally, with the ATGM Swam, we shouldn't really use or need too many tanks. The Fagots should also basically alleviate, not alleviate, but just, have us not depend or have us not need medium tanks, because having so many round of these will allow us to more effectively deal with IFVs and such, which otherwise would be the role of cheap-ish tanks. Recon type, nothing outstanding. There's also not really too much to choose from. Just like five times the same T55, BRDM2, and BTR40. And that's basically it. Obviously, Sneska being one exception. Spezialaufklärer just being, in most scenarios, superior to Bruskonnici. Having a sniper is obviously nice and all, but it's not a suppressed sniper, so not really worth using most of the time. And of course, Spezialaufklärer actually have a somewhat decent anti-tank weapon. BTR40 would be a choice to put in, but I definitely want the MI2, since having not a lot of wheeled or fast options, I need these fast optics. And of course, Spezialaufklärer and a ground transport are also mandatory. I prefer the Euro. I could use the SPW40, but we're already in the queue, so it's not a huge issue. But I'm just generally not a fan of the 15-point recon transports. Although the stealth, not even the optics, but the stealth is actually kind of nice sometimes. Actually, I think I'm gonna stick with a 5-pointer. 25 points it's just so cheap. I think the ones in the hind are not really mandatory at all. So I could replace those with the BTR40 maybe, since I also already get a hind with the FJB40. Or maybe I should put a second card in a ground transport. As I've said before, not a huge fan of Grenzer and BGS because they only have good stealth. However, I don't have access to regular infantry. All I get is shock. So there may be a reason to go for these. Maybe get these in a Ural and then a Spezialauflehrer in the SPW40 would be a nice case. Maybe you're gonna suggest the Vydra, but the Vydra is just trash. It is wheeled, but it has 20% accuracy, which I think this can be a bit misleading because it has a green value, right? And green is usually alright, but you know, here 20% is green and here the 30% is orange, right? So the 30% might at first glance look worse than the 20%, but obviously 20% is absolute dog shit when you have a burst length of 1. Like if the Vydra had like a gun that shot like 3 or 4 times before it has to reload, it would be a different deal, but that's not the case. So it's absolute dog shit. And it also only has 1 front armor. So yeah. If this had a 20% accuracy KPVT, or if there was a BTR80 recon, meaning no, it's not available in Mech. Meaning effectively this with 2 front and 2 side armor, 20% accuracy on the KPVT, and only good optics, so you only have to pay, I don't know, 20 points, probably not more. Even 15 points would actually be better, even though it would be a major upgrade over this. But for 20 points, would be maybe honestly worth using. But with only 1 front armor and only the basic KPVT with a bad accuracy, not really worth taking at all. Not mentioning that you only get 6 of them per card, or 4 upwetted, which is just horrible. MI2 RO, not worth using. In general, it's just bad because it's so slow and only has 4 HP. Although it is also pretty cheap considering it has exceptional optics. Still, I'm not a fan of it. But even if I was using it, I mean, sure, Hinds are nice and all, but Eastern Bloc, I think, is one of the nations that can get the least value out of exceptional optics because it's helicopters and planes. You know, they're not really weak, but they cover everything, but they're not really exceptional anywhere. Which is, I guess, with the exception for LSTR and maybe like the M1 Wilk, like basically the flavor of Eastern Bloc, be average everywhere, but you're never, or you don't. There's nothing where you're actually bad at. Vehicle, all these vehicles, I mean, the Prime is really nice, although it's kind of situational. I'm not sure. But other than that, you know, Eastern Bloc vehicles, again, so many copies. And all of these are they're fine, but like nothing outstanding. Not like US or something where you get the M163 CS or USSR with the BMPT, stuff like that. Unfortunately, you don't have any access to, you know, outstanding vehicles in the vehicle tab. The Pram might be, but Pram is such a, I think, also a kind of a niche unit. On some maps it's gonna be amazing, or against some decks or playstyles. Against others or on other decks, on other maps, you know, it may be very, very situational or not good at all. MI35, I think it's pretty standard. Some people like this, but then you don't have any actually high AP missiles. No reason to take the MI35, the MI24W instead. You have more rocket pods, but they're also much, much worse, like significantly worse. Hey, we actually found a rank game after 7 minutes roughly, so that should be interesting. So 7 minutes to find a game, you know. Could obviously also happen in 2 minutes and also in 20 minutes. We got JAS 39. This I hang on. Is it the Gripen? Is it the designation for the Gripen? It is. In that case, I think I know who this is. This is Korean or Japanese? I think he's Korean. If it's the guy that I'm thinking of. I played versus him before, but it's been quite a while. I always forget. But I think if it's the guy who I'm thinking of, then he is from Asia, at the very least. East Asia. I think it's Korean. Korea's South Korea, obviously. Where he's from, but I might be wrong. It's been a while that I played versus him. I remember there was one match on Paddy Field. I think he was playing Scandi and I was playing something else. I just got completely wrecked. I think I might have even played on Taunt and I got wrecked by Scandi. But it's been like 2 years or even more ago. Yeah. Any case, oh yeah, I didn't even talk about the support tab. Sorry. Pibong has just, I don't really use it a lot, but sometimes I think there might be a niche for it. I talked about it in the Eurocore video where I'm not a huge fan of these RT pieces, but whatever. I am gonna side with an MI24D on the left. Actually, I think I'm gonna side with it on the right because I think I don't want to side with two MI24Ds. It's too expensive. I'm gonna start with it on the right in case there's gonna happening some helo drop without AA helos happening here, so I can defend against that. Yeah. But actually, first let's get our stuff for the left. Let's get a Promet. Let's get a Sneska. And just get this. Let's hope this is enough. We definitely want some scouts, of course. Let's get some fagots. I'm just gonna buy 3. I don't even know where I'm gonna go with them yet. I think 1 M2 will should hopefully be enough. We want a mortar. I think I'm only gonna get 1 Cup M for anti-planes, and other than that, another Promet. Let's get some Motor Strelki because they have 10 HP. Let's get some of you guys going. And last but not least, let's get 2 Mudshits and squads. Alright, let's hope we're not gonna get completely fucked. A mech, of course, especially on a map where the initial deployment takes relatively long, or the initial deployment roads are relatively long, because after you get the second spawn, that's not necessarily the case anymore. But on highway, it's I think mostly the early game where you will have trouble with the mech. But once you survived it, I guess is one way to put it. I think it's a pretty good map for mech, especially if it comes down to a fight in mid. I'm just gonna give them a fast move to the spawn for now. Just in case I forget about them, I don't want them to just sit on the road and do nothing. One of you are not there, the other one in here. Mortar, let's not forget about you. These 2 persons, another one there, another one here, another one, the other one a bit further up. Just spread them around. Usually not someone to bite it very early on, but I just don't want to forget about it. It's been also a while that I played Wargame. Quite a while. I played like 2 matches or so or 3 matches versus Baofei. And that's basically all I played over the past 2 weeks. But after so many hours of Wargame, I think it's hard to unlearn or forget about like the basics. Alright, we're playing against Soviets. Infantry CV in this zone. Because there's a K-29, it's on regular, so it can only be a CV, because I do not think that Razzmann are in the K-29. I'm fairly certain. Alright. Get a Conqueror's M in here, let's get some more fagots. Get another Brom. Where's the Wilk? Did I forget? Alright, it's not too big of a deal. Yeah, let's move this over there. Those are Spets and Screw that are forced to unload. It's always very good. That's a Tunguska, so it looks like he's gonna be very heavy in mid because Can't think of, or I can't think of why you would use a Tunguska for your flank, because it is rather expensive, right? Where's the hind? Did I lose my hinds or am I blind? There's the hind. Let's move this over to the left. Very weird opener. That was a tank, so maybe he just took a rather not very optimal road. I'm not sure. There is something in there. Alright, that's interesting. Shortly spotted something there. So I wonder if he unloaded or helo dropped over there. And they missed a 90-something% shot. Of course. Always nice to see. Always in this case obviously means never. Spine M1 will look for the flank just to be sure. Maybe he's also just playing very defensively because he's unsure as to what I'm doing. Also Conquerors M, not yet in the town. Maybe we can catch them in the open. Oh, they're not gonna get in cover in time, are they? That's very unfortunate. The Razzmann, he must have unloaded them with like an MI8 MTV or something in there. I'm gonna play it safe and buy a Grom for the base. And of course they missed. Get some of you in there. Let's unload you. That was close. Try to smoke this off, see what we can do. Let's buy some prams, they should be good for this side. For this part of the map. Okay, that's an OBR. M2 is spotted. Yeah, we need a new scout over there pretty soon. Just gonna have this hover over this area so I can quickly move it into either spawn if necessary. And here and you in there. Once again, I'd rather be a bit too safe than too sorry. That's not how it goes, but you get the point. I don't want to buy a Pivonka just yet. Buy some more fagots. Get you in there before you build. Get another thing in here so we have something watching over. This should probably buy another tank from it to deal with the OBR. Well, can I still not spot these Conquerors M? I guess they're maybe in a building very far behind. There we go. Preemptively smoked there. Base VDV, that's very interesting. Also not the best choice of units. Stabilizer malfunction is very nice. I have to watch out for those fagots. Also buy 2 more for this side. They have base Conquerors, which they only, quote unquote, only have 20 AP, but to medium tanks, even 20 AP can be somewhat scary. Don't underestimate them. What those are? Oh, VDV and VDV 90. Okay, right, that's not good for my. Oh, that's. Get some supply trucks. I take these small ones because I prefer, so I don't have them. I don't need them to be very point efficient. I definitely need some more infantry though. But at least we got this down. So, you know, we might have lost most of our infantry, but we heavily damaged his tank, which is, you know, something. Let's see if we can get you in there. You're gonna move in this area. There's a Tunguska, and he also has a base tier. Okay, that's interesting. Not a big plane buyer as it seems, or a helicopter for that matter. Saperi. Okay, so those are coming from a BTRT most likely, because otherwise I don't see reason to use them. Also get another recon unit in this area. That's the one nice thing, is the range. Though in this case, it did matter actually. That's a T-80. It's not gonna take too much damage from the faggots, but it's gonna probably scare him a bit. Split him up. Let's also buy some AGS, because they have so much DPS. Go a bit further. Viper 2 is spotted, probably by Spets Screw or something that came into BTR ADA. I'm still unsure about the Razzmann. Maybe they just came into a Ural or something. Who's crying? The Viper 2 is getting shot at, okay. The safer road. Yeah, that's where they're really annoying. It's like, I mean, I guess in this case, this shot, the range doesn't matter. At 5 HE, long range. They're not like on these situations, like in these positions. Like I said, they can be very useful. They're not very good for like close range fire support, obviously, due to low RPM and only 2 front armor and for 35 points. They're too easy to kill. Still haven't repaired that M2 wilt yet. Let's get a Pivonka actually, just to mess with them really in this area. I think we can also get a CV. Yeah, let's actually get a CV. That's his. Let's shoot into this area. Please don't die. Shit, it died. New one. In this case, you may not necessarily want to attack move. Oh, they got spotted by Razzmann. Okay, there's Razzmann in there. Good to know. We did see them move up earlier, so you know it does obviously make sense. I don't want to try to get rid of them just yet because of that's where it's firing. Let's move you over there, then give a shift command there. Oh, that's a smurge on top of that. Okay, that's very bad. Killed my M1 Wilk. I was expecting it to be a Jurgen. I could have actually completely noticed that it is a smudge by the fact that it has a lower RPM compared to a Jurgen. Because Jurgen fires much faster. An M1M here. Conversation malfunctioning, that's funny. Maybe we get lucky and kill the smudge. This got nearly killed by the Tunguska. Lock this off so we can move up these. And let's just buy more infantry. It's a Salo. I don't think the Ivanka will be very successful, but you miss every shot you don't take, right? That's the Spetsnaz Screw being a bit too greedy here. And the Mi-24D is too low for the Tunguska to shoot at it from this angle. I think that's Bets on Screw Squad, and that's actually very, very important. That's a BTR 90 by some M1 Wilks and spread these out so they're not as. Okay, Pibonka did not kill Smirch. Let's move it up a bit and then give a shift command, fire command in there. You stand still. That's a 25T. Well, that's one of the units that the Cube M is probably best dealing against. That's not English. Right. One spawn, spawn, spawn. Doesn't have the best range. Can you spot the M2 Wilk? No, you can't. Okay. It was just not properly in that forest. Smoke you off, so in case he does have a. Okay, it's. First of all, where's it firing from? Same position? Yeah. Right, shift fire command there. This is not actually fully attacking there. Okay, that's not very good. It's a lot of shit. Get some crumbs. Can you fire this, please? Oh, of course you missed your 70% chance. The SU-25T makes it quite annoying at the moment. Is that gonna be a side shot? It is. Very epic. Get some Vitras in there. Work on pushing mid while he's pushing there. Do it there. Let's get some Granatomates and some Panzerownicy. There's still the T-80 there, okay. Well, he's evacing. It's our time to engage. Probably unnecessary. It's probably a waste of a sphere right now, but it did allow me to kill it and effectively minimize the chance of him YOLO side-shotting me with his BRDM3, which would have obviously been very bad. Alright, what's the state on this? Alright. Still firing. Well, let's see if we can push him out of mid. We have a bomber, we don't. Actually attack. Usually I don't like attack. Okay, I already did buy that. Promets are really nice for. I don't know why he's pushing here. I guess he can kill me, of course, but. That's 40% base accuracy for you. Hey, and it's a kill. But the cheap price also means that after a kill, it will gain more experience than other units would. These Bets on Screw are gonna be very annoying, so I'm gonna move. Let's see. Yeah. I am also gonna buy infantry CV here so you can just YOLO smirch it. At least not until it's when it's unloaded. Right, so this is looking good for us. Generally, it looks pretty good for us, I'd say. Obviously, let's not forget that he does have the SC25T at the ready. Speaking of it, there it is. Kubam is a bit too far away. Alright, he did lose line of sight, so that's good. And I did hit him with the Kubam. Ivanka did kill this much, I think. It did. So that's amazing, of course. That means I don't really have to worry. I don't even have to worry about my USC placement anymore, unless he takes 2 cards of Smirches, which I don't. You know, I don't play USSR very often, or rather, I don't build a USSR deck very often, so I don't even know if you can take 2 cards. Did my M1M die? I did die. Okay, let's just buy 2 of these. Forget to move these up, and let's get another one from it. Let's be a bit safe, because with the Smirch dead, presumably the only Smirch, this means that you know, that is one big problem gone. And the other big problem is obviously the ST25T, which I also didn't pay attention. I don't know if that has that is upvoted or not, so I don't know if he gets 2 of these in case I kill it. Also get like an MI2 here. Should have probably bought a hind for this side, but I mean, even if we lose this for now, it's not enough to like properly hold this side, which means that if we have to get back, if we have to take it back by force, it shouldn't be too hard. My god, let's try to kill that Salo once and for all. And we also have those 2 on the way, I forgot. No, don't underestimate cheap ATGMs. I may have done so in the past as well, but not for quite a while nowadays. Don't underestimate that. And not Jesus. Yeah, sure, let's just tank the Congress M, and just miss when firing at it. It's of course also another option. Don't forget these get 2-shot by Congress M. Oh, shoot at this while you still can. Oh, you missed again! Holy! That's unlucky. But stranger things have happened. Oh, there's Siberium 3. I assume we have killed the Zalo. Oh, those are 2 Felgots. Right, I lost a Grom. I thought one of these was a Grom squad, but both of these are both. fucking horrible German accent. Both of these are actually what should I call it? Felgots, yeah. Ural Elite, so that's a transport of Spetsnaz Screw. Also give a bit of fuel to that M to work. You don't want it to run out of fuel when if it has to retreat. These scratch shots, either they're there because he unloaded VDV into this town, or they're there because he's about to launch a counterattack. So also fire this. Call me dirty for CV sniping, but I knew exactly where it was from the beginning. And granted, I'm only doing this because I don't have any other targets for it right now, so yeah. And that's one kind of, or sometimes disadvantage of having a transport helo for your CV. You know, you might give away the position of your CV. Depending on, obviously that kind of depends on the map and, you know, the deck of the opponent, if he starts with like a Rikin helo or stuff like that to actually spot you this early, etc, etc. Get another CV for this side so we can tick and buy some more Rams. I forgot the names, so I had to wait until they're out to actually read that out loud. Right, there's the counterattack. Let's move the Hind to the left. Did I not buy another Hind? No, I did not buy FJB. Alright. Turn off your MG. Right, and one Wilk took a shot of T80. And I think at this range it is going to be 2-shot. T80 please, thank you very much. His Monster's not just gonna die here, they're just effectively there to slow him down. That's a K52, that's also very interesting. I guess to spot for his SC25T, that would make sense. Looks like my... Yeah, oh no. Oh no. Well, I mean, he did kill it with help of the K52, but this is... Helicopters are balanced, by the way. I don't know why I said it like that. Sorry if this came off rude, but... It's just more in front of this. Move you back again. I can spot these very early thanks to his K52. So I should move up my Grom. Also move you up. So we might as well. Maybe it's actually in here? Well, I know it's an infantry CV in one of these buildings. Move both of these tanks back. And let's buy some of you again and some more mod Schützen. And let's also just buy some of these, because they're good at just being fire support. Oh, that's a UAC. I got shooting at BTRT with the help of these two. Let's attack move you. Let's attack move you as well. There's a 25T again. Don't quite know what it's going for. Nice Cube M's, by the way. There we go. And now they're out of ammo. Well, I forced him to evac at least, and I killed the CV. I lost one of these, probably to some infantry squad that's in there. They're out of ammo. Smoke you off. Let's turn you off before you get killed by the K52. Put you back to the fob. Let's move you up. Get another Grom squad. Also go reinforce this side. Spetsnaz, so that's bad. Move you in there, let's move you in here. This is where Spetsnaz are absolute trash, of course, and why you need them very often with support of other units. Let's not be so aggressive, because they have massive range, these VDV. Yeah, as I said, they have massive range, and I'm gonna two-shot an M1 Wilk. MI-28. He has a Tunguska, so I can't just helo dive it. I mean, I could, and I might be, you know, very easily be able to. That's why Groms are very nice, but they died, or the squad that I had earlier. Let's just try to dive this, send seat behind in case he leaves a gun on the Tunguska. That's where they come into play. They don't really kill very well, but they stun amazingly. It's an OBR. I did kill it. And he did turn on the gun. Didn't turn it. Well, both of these missiles missed. Those were both misses. This was not due to micro by him. He did try to micro it the second time, apparently. I don't think he would have been fast enough. He could have been, I'm not sure. But both of these rolled a miss anyways. So whatever he would have done or did, they miss. Or missed. Which is lucky for him. Unlucky for me, but I mean, I did still just trade my Lazur for his MI28, which is fine by me. Because I don't really need it to snipe the K-52, I think. K-52's biggest danger is, of course, spotting for the SE-25. And the SE-25 isn't really a huge issue. It is an issue, of course, but the Coup M's are pretty good at just, you know, deterring it. Not amazing, but they're good enough. They do, however, eat supply like ass, which I don't even know is a proper way to say this. Is it VP? Interesting. Luckily I have a Grom there. Hinds are the biggest enemies of Groms because they only have 4 HE. Hind with... Are there Rasvetkas in the Hinds? That's... Is that Seed? Or SE-24M. Set it to SE-24M, that's an SE-24M. I could have seen at the bombers. At the bombs on the model. Oh, that's a dead CV. And that's what I get for placing the CV here against the Smurge when I already had killed the Smurge as well. Alright, well, luckily you get 6 Coup M's up with it. That's cool. Alright, it's time to push up here again. 25T is still damaged. Put you into this building. You up further. I'm not sure about the state of VDV in there. I think there might still be like VDV on like 2 or 3 HP, 2 squads in even. You know, all this chip damage all done by low-end ATGMs. Although base Conquerors isn't even that low-end, but with 20 armor, the base Conquerors has just as much damage as a Fagot. It was the Hind that was there earlier. I might as well buy an ASF. It's likely not gonna kill his 25T, but it's probably gonna force him to evac at least. Unless I get a side shot. Then I have a decent chance at killing it. I don't think he has any A over there. I'd be surprised if he had. Hello, please engage fully. It is down with it as well. That's a Tor? Or a book? Maybe an Osa. It's tough to say sometimes. It looked like I think it looked like a book, but I think I don't see why that would be a book. So probably just an Osa. It looked like a heavy AA missile model from this perspective, so that's why I was a bit confused. Maybe I'm just not seeing things properly. Oh yeah, Grom again. That's where manpads are so good at. I mean, but they're just so cost efficient against helicopters. Because manpads you can usually get up much closer to the front line than normal AA. And against helicopters they usually have pretty good range, like 2625. You know, compared to Krotal obviously much less, but compared to like, let's say, Roland 3s or something, that's not a lot less. And then you have to take into account that, again, they can be so much closer to the front line. Probably could just put them into here, maybe even this bush there. So that not even negates the range disadvantage they have over most other AA pieces, but sometimes, or very often, you even come out ahead with, like, effectively, you know. That's why having man pads is so nice, but, you know, obviously in unspec decks it's very hard to fit in. That's why it's one reason why LSTR decoys are so great. SAS have the disadvantage that coming only in helicopters makes them so expensive that that makes them hard to get into the front line, and not to take into account that their overall loadout isn't too great. By the way, I also want this to be an example for everyone. Well, not everyone, but these people, some of the people claiming, oh my god, Wargame is only about super heavies now. I'm just saying, just buying 2 of these as quick reinforcement. Those are 2 Hinds. Whatever, dude. Obviously just a desperation play. And that's GG. In all fairness, Soviets against my deck, once the opener is over, is gonna be pretty tough. But that's the thing about ranked, right? You don't know the deck of your opponent. The only thing that I could have known, but I didn't even think about, I could have, even in the deployment, have known that he's playing as red 4, because I was playing red 4 and I had a blue team color, right? And having a blue team color and being red, or playing as red 4, can only mean one thing: the opponent is also playing red 4. But like I said, not knowing the deck of your opponent is one big thing about ranked, which is why having an option to, like, disguise your deck, or having a lobby option where decks are not shown, would be pretty cool, at least like for tournaments. So because it obviously, like in tournaments, if like declaring your decks and having your deck be set, so you can't change it, or, you know, change your deck to counter your opponent's deck, is one thing, but not even in the deployment knowing what your opponent is playing is also such a big factor. And so it was in this building, the infantry CV, I just didn't kill it. I'm so smart. No, I'm not. But yeah, probably best course of action would have been if he did push there. He does have Razzmann near my 24D, and he didn't. He just pulled it back. Okay. Yeah, at first I assumed that's because I spotted the Razzmann afterwards, right, and killed him with the Hind. I thought that maybe he did get a Ural here earlier, before I got there. But then again, I did spot a BTR 80 in this area already, so it's weird. Kind of slow on this front, which wasn't really a big issue, since he had only tracked stuff as well. And, you know, having that stuff earlier, they wouldn't really have stopped me from putting stuff anywhere. Oh, by the way, let me know if you want that, like, more often. I think I've said it before, but if you want it more often, to go over the replay after games, which I can't guarantee, because if I'm playing like a best of 5 versus balance or something, then usually we go game after game after game or something. These were a bit annoying, but these fagots probably just would have saved me if he tried to do more stuff there. And it didn't end up doing. They did a lot of indirect work, and well, once they obviously did direct work as well, like killing my Spezialerflare over there. But like, me knowing that they were there, I didn't really want to try to do much stuff there, which was a bit annoying for me and uncomfortable. And I never felt like I was in a position where I could have spent the points to probably get rid of them. And not only like try to get rid of them, but then I also have to take into account that he could have possibly have stuff in here that could have dealt with my stuff over there, which in turn try to deal with this stuff, etc., right? So there's a lot of things that I have to take into account. It was a Strata 10M, Jesus. That missile model to me looked like a Book M1 missile, or like a book missile, like a 9HE missile. Jesus Christ. Smoke here potentially saved the OBR's life. I think a front shot wouldn't have killed it, but a side shot would have. But in turn, it also allowed my Murchison to just walk in there. Scheiße. Shit, I forgot to take a look at the Fagot and Bram kill lists. I could take a look at them if I just replay the file from my perspective, but I'm too lazy for that. There's the also misplay by him, not moving the Smirch after my first salvo. Could very easily just simply not have noticed. It's hard to notice it, but if I damaged it, I want to take a look by the time he goes for the second salvo. I want to know if it's damaged when he does that, or if it already got repaired by the fob. One thing about the salvo is it only has 20 rounds, so I think I'm pretty sure I had it in my mind, like in the back of my mind, but I never gave it a second thought. I could have just effectively, forced it to empty all its rounds, and then I would have only have to deal with the BRDM3. I saw the Spitzer and Screw moving up earlier, but I actually forgot about them, and then I was a bit caught off guard once I realized that they were there. And that exact moment when the fight with the Dragunov is when I just realized, oh shit, right, he had these Spitzer and Screw moved up. That's actually pretty dangerous for me. I also had no idea, by the way, I mean obviously, whether or what kind of playstyle he has for Soviets, because people tend to play Soviets differently, and this seems to be pretty close to Putin. Like heavy artillery, lots of helicopters, but he didn't really use a lot of helicopters until the end. Although it has to be said that helicopters against my deck is gonna be pretty tough, or heavy helicopter usage, because Grom and Promite is such an efficient way to deal with them. And then, of course, Coop M1s, Tors, if I had bought them, would have been a decent option. Alright. Let's quickly get ahead. Also, I think I could have been a lot more aggressive, but I think against Soviets, again, with all these helicopters and stuff like that, I just want to not overexpand at all. And being an infantry heavy deck and having not a lot of, except for like the M2 Wilks, I never really had any single high value units, which is the best thing you can have against Soviets most of the time, because that means that having your overall value of units spread out over a big area means that Soviets are gonna have a hard time to just break through, and just usually the biggest thing is Soviets killing your key unit or your few key units, and then you just collapse from that point on. But against Mech, that's going to be very, very tough. And unless I would have have my 80% of my forces in Delta, which could have happened, where Urigan could have done a shit ton of work in that case. Maybe a Smirch, but mostly Urigan, stunning my infantry. Outside of these kind of scenarios, Soviets are going to have a hard time versus Mech. It's Smirch. It's not getting damaged, it's getting worried though. He could have noticed that he could have noticed that possibly the area of the area of effect circle when aiming, when giving the fire precision command, was bigger than usual, and he could have also potentially, but that's hard to do because you never select your fob, notice that the fob is damaged. But that could have been an indication that he's getting fired at, because the Smirch never got damaged. So he didn't get the notification on the minimap, but the fob got damaged. So maybe he did get a notification on the minimap. Pay attention to the minimap. Sometimes, you saw that, exactly, that's when units get damaged, right? So I'm not sure if that also did appear for the fob. You'll just have to go back into the replay and pay a bit attention. And the Malka firing 4 shots in a salvo and with a long time between the individual shots is gonna be tough to notice. Especially when you're a bit zoomed in and it just happens outside of your field of view. And especially these little fagots, they're such a big part of this deck, and on this map also the Prams. They did so much work, especially on this side. They were invaluable. The FJB did jack shit. They did kill the BTR 80A or something at the start. And it... God damn it. And then the T80 track in the mud and being in the little bush, I think, caused it to turn slower than usual. And causing it to get side shot. Even the front shot would have been able to kill it actually. T80 has 13 front armor. For some reason I thought it has 16. It was dead either way, I'm pretty sure. Pram with the HE round actually killed the BTR 90. But I think outside of that, I never killed the 25T, but again, against mech, unless I would spam like 5, 6, 7, 8 or anything along those lines, medium tanks, the SC25T wouldn't really do much. Like the fagots and stuff, they did the most damage to him, and even if they didn't do a lot of damage directly, they often just being there and him knowing they were there made it very awkward for him and just forced him to just play defensively for now until he can actually push up. It was very, very bad for him. That's where the smudge was killed. What he should have done though is he could have realized or known that I have a Pibonka, since I did fire in here, I believe, earlier already. And realizing that, well, first of all, he obviously could have tried to counter-arty me. But second of all, realizing that I have this means that he also must realize that I could counter-arty. So after firing, he should have at least given a shift command into this area or something. And then maybe every now and then, you know, if you're doing that every time, pay attention to see if there are any impact. You know, graphical thingies, craters, and then, you know, if you don't see anything after 3-4 salvos, then maybe you can be safe to assume that I'm not gonna counter RT. But early on, if you buy your heavy RT after your opponent, pay attention to that. It's a very safe player, however. What I mean with that is 45 points AA, 35 points recon and autocannon. Another 45 point AA unit here. I personally would have said, well, the scratch it is enough. At least up until I bought the CV. I think he got a straight up pretty early on though, before the CV. Maybe even since the opener, I'm not sure. So that's a bit too much for my taste. Against certain players that are very helo heavy, you know, sure, but I don't think he could have or should have expected me to heal rush or be very helo heavy, so that seemed a bit too much in terms of AA. So what was his infantry tab? I think base VDV in the BTRD, I believe. VDV 90 in the Scratchet. Saber in the BTRT. He had Conqueror's M, I think also in the Scratchet. And then Spetsnaz, probably in the BTRD or something. Or maybe in the BTR 90. I'm kind of surprised to not see any BMPTs or something. Although he does have BTRTs for that, I assume. But yeah. I think the SS25T and also the Smudge kind of were the wrong units to buy. Smudge obviously did do a bit of damage and killed my M1 Wilk. I'm not sure I forgot what else it killed. But outside of that, not really big a deal. Same with K52, but I think at this point he was just a bit desperate, I guess is one way to put it. Also, the Hind killing the Tunguska M was pretty... yeah. But I think it was overall a rather one-sided match. Like I said, after the opener, Soviets are gonna have a very tough time versus Mech. Unless you're like very experienced in the matchup, I assume. But yeah. Let me put it this way. Back in the day, before I started YouTube, when I got to rank 3 on the leaderboard on general, I got there with Eastern Bloc Mechanized, and I played against a good amount of Soviets. That was already during the blue mech meta, but a lot of people still held on to the Soviets, and I played a lot of Soviets. So I actually have a good amount of time when it comes to this matchup. But yeah. How often did I now say but yeah? Anyways. QBM didn't really do a lot of work this time. It did hit 2 or 3 times the SC-250 and each time forced it to evac. So even if they didn't really kill anything other than that one hind down there, I think they paid off. Because even if I only have a few tanks there, the SC-250 was still just annoying, right? So that was still nice. I guess they did kill the SC-24M in the end, but then they died. Rip. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. The first point, of course, that I tried to make at the start is it takes a lot of time to find rank games. Even against the Lieutenant Colonel, it took 7 minutes. Now sometimes it takes 20 minutes or even longer, and then I get stuff like corporals, sergeants, privates, and they're just bad. And depending on the map, depending on the deck, this might still be a 20 or 25-minute games if they don't surrender and stuff. And this time I got a Lieutenant Colonel, and this was a pretty good Lieutenant Colonel in my opinion. Because Soviets are pretty hard to play, and I think under all the circumstances he did an alright job. But honestly, I think usually Lieutenant Colonels are probably going to be worse than that. And even this was still pretty one-sided against someone who I'd consider to be better than the average Lieutenant Colonel nowadays. So I hope you understand that point that I'm trying to make is, for one, it can take very, very long to find a rank game. And even if I find one, there's a good chance that the player is just not very good, and it's just going to be an even more one-sided stomp and just boring for both me and you. So, yeah. Let's take another look at the deck. I don't think I wanted to change anything, right? I did consider the Spezialauflager, but I think I'm gonna keep them for now. It's not really a big change. By the way, this MiG-23, I did run the East German SC-22 upvetted beforehand, but I did put in the MiG-23 now upvetted for when you get 2 instead of 1. But the other thing is, for heavy tanks or very heavy tanks, I have the Syria. The MiG-23 is more against medium tanks and stuff, and where the speed is the main reason why I take it over the SC-22. ECM, of course, is also a nice little factor, but mostly the speed. And it being semi-active means that I can also more easily use it against like light IFVs, meaning that I can shoot at an IFV, and if I kill it, I still have 1 missile left. With Fire and Forget, I'd shoot both at it. But yeah, I haven't used it at all so far, simply because it's the second time I played the deck over the past month or so, or longer probably. So yeah, I think the rest of the planes fairly straightforward. You could make a point in running 2 cards of Ace F, since I will rely more often than not on Syria to kill heavy tanks, depending on who and what I play against. On the other hand, the QBMs and the Tor, they should be a very, very strong AA net on top of the Groms versus helicopters, so I think I can safely rely on AA. On top of that, the other ASFs, MiG-23 and the East German MiG-29, are just not very good. So yeah. Of course, further questions, put them in the comments. Pivonka. It's funny to see after me saying I don't like M110s now doing a good amount of work with the Pivonka. I still stand by what I said. M110s are fine and all, but definitely don't like build your deck around it. It's not what you should do. They're nice to have, but other than that, yeah. Also, the other thing is, I just don't get anything better. The only reason I have this is because I don't know what else to put in. I guess I could put in another tank, but I don't need it. So, yeah, all the other artillery options are just garbage, and I don't need more AA. Sopel is bad, and Sopel is basically a worse Grom in the Promet option. Strela, I don't need any of these because I have Grom in the Promet. Tunguska, I just don't need either. Also, I already have a heavy AA unit. Cube M4 I don't need because I have the base Cube for heavy AA and the Tor for like mix anti-helo, and you know, that's the reason why I have the Pivanka, is because I don't know what else to put in. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll hopefully see you next time.